Welcome to CC Rock. I'm now backstage with Craig Goldy and Tim Ripper Owens from the Dio Disciples. Yeah. Whoa, yeah, say.
We are.
I hope you are, because if you ain't, I get the wrong guys here.
Well, we can bring some other ones, stand-ins in.
Just some people, yes. Well, this is kind of cool. I mean, this is carrying the torch for Dio, Ronnie James Dio. God bless his soul. Amazing man who I've talked to. I think of all the people I interviewed over the years, the most intelligent, the most gracious, the nicest guy who would talk about anything. Rainbow, Black Sabbath, he didn't care what it was. He would talk to you about it. A lot of bands wouldn't do that. Right. But as you guys know, I mean, Craig, you spent a long time with, Ronnie James. What is it like now? You're carrying the torch for Ronnie James and you're playing his music. What is it like?
Well, in my world anyways, I can only speak for myself, but I think we all feel the same, is that this band was run like a family. And so Ronnie was our family. He was my friend. I've known him since 1983. And he did so many things. Like you said, he was such a gracious man, so intelligent, but he went out of his way as a friend for me on so many occasions, doing things that I would never think that a man of his stature would do. He would always find a way to blow people's minds with kindness. And he did that all over the world. So his extended family is also the world. So in my world, when we come and do these shows, it's not also just to keep his memory alive, but it's also to try and keep his way alive, the way he was with people, the way he treated his fans. He would no paid meet and greets. He would come out on the floor and talk to people and grab their arms. He'd look you right in the eye, make you feel like he really cared, because he did, make you feel like an equal and a friend, which you were, made you feel special, which you were. And then you would leave with a memory in your heart that you would treasure for the rest of your life. And it wasn't just good customer service, that was just the kind of guy he was. And so we want to try to make sure that way didn't die with him. And because if we did nothing, Ronnie James Dio's voice and music would never be forgotten. But we have the distinct honor to then, because we were his band members, and this man here was actually handpicked by Ronnie to be his protege. And it made perfect sense. And when this thing began, when Wendy first started thinking about doing this, first person we thought of, because Ronnie actually asked Wendy to manage Tim. Wow. And then and so it just made perfect sense. And when we were getting sent all these YouTube videos of Tim doing Ronnie stuff just on his own, because he loved Ronnie too. And so the family remained a family, but it just kind of, the circle started getting bigger just because Ronnie was gone. And so we as most families do, when their most beloved family member dies, they try to do something to keep their memory alive. And so we miss him and love him just as much as the fans do. So in my heart, these aren't rock concerts. These are memorial services.
Wow, that's a great answer. I mean, I was like, whoa. But I mean, Tim, you're Ripper. What do you call you, Tim or Ripper?
Tim's good. Yeah, Tim's fine.
Tim, you're standing in the shoes, basically, of, now it sounds like you were handpicked in a sense, which is, I did not know that. And to be honest, we interviewed you with Judas Priest, back in 2001, and you were the voice of Judas Priest. Now you're the voice of Dio. I mean, that's the two biggest singers there is.
I think the difference now compared to Priest is I had to make myself, now I'm still the voice of Tim, I'm still the voice of Ripper. I'm not replacing Ronnie. I was handpicked kind of by Ronnie to be myself, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, we don't have to do this. We have all these other things to do. We do this because this is the one thing, I got to be honest, for me, this is the one thing I do that I love to do in music. I love to sing these songs, and I do it because I'm still myself singing them. I'm not replacing Ronnie Dio, or we're just celebrating Ronnie Dio. Yeah. I'm singing like myself, or celebrating Ronnie, and I do it strictly really because I love it. I tour now. I got a career where I tour solo and I do things all year long, and we all, like I said, are busy. But when we get offers and opportunities to celebrate Ronnie, we all jump on them, because there's a feeling we get, and it's not like no other really on stage every night.
I know that in Europe you guys did some hologram stuff with Ronnie, and it was very interesting to see the placement of it, because it looks like it's placed in a darker part of the stage because it needs obviously darkness to have the light come through so well. What did that feel like, being on stage with a hologram going on and you're playing, but Ronnie's not there, but he is there in a way? I mean, what was it like? I mean, is that
It was very, very surreal. A lot of it was, there still needs some more work. We're going to do more work on the hologram because it needs to look more like Ronnie and stuff like that, technical stuff. But it was really more of a grand gesture on Wendy's part, because when Ronnie, there was like a pecking order. When Richie Blackmore left Deep Purple, it was his time to call the shots, and he did what was best for his band. And then when Ozzy left Sabbath, it was Tony and Geezer and all the guys, their time to call the shots. And so when Ronnie started his own band, it was his time to call the shots. So all those bands did what was best for their band, but what Ronnie did was what he thought was best for the fans. So Sacred Heart Tour, he cut his profit margin practically in half. People don't realize how much money he actually spent. Everybody thinks about how much money he made. It was more of a thing about giving back to the fans. An 18-foot fire-breathing dragon. And then when I joined, we had the giant metal spider came down. I'm shooting it with my lasers out of my guitar and explosions and everything. So Wendy wanted to make a grand gesture in the same type of spirit that Ronnie would give to the fans. So that's really what the hologram really is supposed to represent, is a grand gesture to the fans in a similar spirit. And that way back in the Sacred Heart Tour, the crystal ball that would come down, there was a rear projector. That's the closest thing you could get to a hologram. So he was already a hologram when he was alive.
right?
And he did that purposely. And as far as I'm concerned, when musicians like Ronnie of that caliber, when they pass away, they're so dearly missed by people all over the globe that I think that's why holograms become essential, because they just miss that. They miss going to a live concert, and this was the first time that a hologram had been integrated with a live band. So it was odd, because he had to be placed up, instead of on stage so the people in the back could see. So there was a lot of things like that people could pick apart if they wanted to. There's a lot that they could pick apart, but there was basically a grand gesture, but for them, and at the same time for me, it was both heart-wrenching, surrealistic, and at home, because I'm hearing his voice come through the monitors. And it was like, and
that was
soul
the thing.
piercing.
Even sitting backstage, when I would go backstage and just listen to it, I would pay to just go see you guys play and listen to it. I would pay to hear him tell stories and Simon tell a story, and then just hear them playing live with Ronnie's live singing. It was incredible to even just listen to that, because it was just like, it would give me chills every night. So it's an incredible evening. And like you said, they're working on it. We were the first to do this, And again, Wendy does this because she's doing exactly what Ronnie did for the fans. People might knock it, and okay, everybody has their opinion, but this is why she does it. And they always say, hey, she's going to make money. No, she's paying money to please the fans. She's paying money, a lot of money, to make the fans happy. And it's amazing, and it's kind of, that's why I jumped on this first, to celebrate Ronnie, to be part of this, and to be part of something new, It's crazy, because it sounds like it's live,
Yeah,
and it's
it's
just like this
incredible.
live show.
It's a great experience.
But I would love it with anybody. I say, when people say it to myself, maybe I wasn't sure at first. I'm thinking, I don't know about this. And I would think, man, how great would it be to see this as a fan of any music in general, not just Ronnie, or David Bowie, to see him do Ziggy Stardust as a hologram, or have Bon Scott come out during an AC/DC concert, or a hologram. I guess he's not coming out. But just during an AC/DC concert, Bon Scott does a couple songs as a hologram. I think it would be just incredible as a fan of music,
Yeah. they're not hiking up the ticket prices in order to recoup.
Yeah.
And that says a lot right there. Because people are not paying an extra, $50 on top of the, they're like $20. It's almost like a bargain on top of it.
I paid $125 for the Eagles upper deck. Glenn Fry's not even with them anymore. He passed away, as we all know. He's basically a major part of the Eagles, and you're still paying astronomical fees. And that's kind of the beauty of when I saw these ticket prices in the show. I'm going, this is really cool, because fans who maybe it's not attainable for everybody to buy those $125 Eagle tickets, but to come see you guys and carry the torch for Ronnie, and this is great. I love the idea of this whole idea.
Yeah.
Plus, on top of it all, there's a fact of life when a group of people gather together with the same hearts and minds and spirits as one another. Something always special will happen. It's just the way things work. It's like gravity, the law of gravity. That's just going to happen. So there's a lot of times I'm getting chills right now just thinking about it. And when I never know when it's going to be, but it's always going to happen. When the audience and the band, we connect, and we're all there for the same purpose and the same heart, mind, and spirit as one another. And you just see people in the audience and their tears and they're singing to the sky, and it's something to experience. It's not something to sit back and throw darts at while you watch it on YouTube. It's from love and from missing him. And like Tim was saying, I would go pay to see John Lord. Deep Purple is my favorite band. I guess there's always going to be somebody who's going to make a target out of me and throw darts at it. And that's okay, but this is not how we make money. Most of the time when we come out, or at least for me, when we do these Dio concerts, I come home, I'm out of pocket. This is for love. This is not, hey man, let's make some money off a dead man and dance on his grave. And people calling us whore and shit like that. Okay, you can have your opinion, but one of Ronnie's dearest friends and closest friends, we had a conversation. He too didn't think it was a good idea about the hologram. Mm-hmm. But we were able to talk to each other. It didn't leave a scratch on our friendship because he was being respectful about it. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a good idea. I'm not going to come to the show. Mm-hmm. And we had a little conversation, and that was it. He didn't call me whore and, congratulations on your paycheck. Like, people are calling me out by name now, and so I've been responding. And God bless Blabbermouth and you guys, that give us a chance to have a voice to say, look, this is what it's all about. And if you still hate us, then that's okay. But just for a second, get over yourself and think about what this really is. Because a lot of people see it like, because Ronnie was so revered. It's almost like that story when Jesus walked into the temple during Passover and saw all the money changers, and that angered him, so he overturned their tables. Well, they see us as the money changers in the temple of Dio, and they think that our tables ought to be overturned. So I get it. A lot of their comments come from their love from Ronnie, but it's just interesting how many people can disagree so feverishly, in the name of love, and be so hateful. That's what I don't understand.
To me, this sounds more like Magica to me. I mean, Ronnie had this whole world of magic and dragons and sorcery, and just the days of Rainbow and Sabbath especially, very vivid, especially even in his solo projects, a lot of that stuff was going on, Sacred Heart, etc. I mean, that was a tour that I know that you were a big part of in the Magica tour when we saw you at the Maritime that night. And Ronnie was just like, it's amazing for the venue, the sound, the feel, the crowd, the floor was like a elastic floor, and the floor was kind of bouncing up and down, and Ronnie was just going crazy that night. And that's the things I remember about Ronnie so much. It's just the fact that you're saying he was such a part of everything going on the stage, in the crowd, everywhere within the whole realm of what he was doing.
dark, keep 'em in the dark can wait for you. Your end is my life. All lies are true. It's of the heart, you can take them all to heaven.
So I think that it's a real treasure to have you guys carry this and keep this going because, let's face it, you look at a band like Foreigner. Foreigner is basically all, even part of the tour they did, I think 2 years ago, even Mick, what's his name? Mick Jones wasn't even on the tour. He was sick. So it was all non-members of Foreigner. Jeff Pilson, he was an original Foreigner member. So, Jeff's amazing.
And Kelly, I went and saw them so many times. It was just, I loved it because.
First of all.
But I understand your point.
First of all, it's not like. The other thing you got to say is, they have been a band. I know it's not Foreigner, but it's almost. They've been together for maybe longer than the original Foreigner.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's
It's
true.
like, even though they
Think
haven't
about it.
written it, I don't know if they even put a record out. It's kind of like Journey with another singer. You've never even heard the guy sing anything else but the old songs. But I say that about Foreigner all the time. I'm like, it's not even. There's no one from Foreigner in Foreigner. But now maybe it is because they've been together longer than Foreigner, the original Foreigner.
exactly.
So.
Really.
Well, there was a sequence of time, I remember after the end of the Dehumanizer tour, when Ronnie was playing down in Costa Mesa or something like down there, and they were thinking about bringing Ozzy back into the band, and Ronnie was really pissed off. He left the tour. Rob Halford came to fill in that last few shows, and I was like, Judas Priest singer singing Black Sabbath music, and yet here you are, the voice of Priest for a while. You were there for what?
We've taken too much for granted when all the time it had grown. Dragging on feet, laser beaming hard, ripping men apart from all that seem my perfection. Well, we can do as we please. If sickness see this infection, we're spreading like a disease, hiding underground, knowing we be found, fearing for life, reap a robot sight, so mental gold. Alright, let me sing it. Yeah. Mental gold. Come on now. Mental gold. My seat got taken all over. We're back on in the corner. It's after long to discover how they can make the donut. That's a bit of slide to their wicked ways. Beneath it without dare. You go to vote to breath.
Almost 10.
10 years with Priest?
Two studio records, 2 live records,
Holy cow.
DVD.
And it was also nominated for a Grammy for the
Yeah.
best metal
Yeah,
vocal
so it's a little
performance.
longer than,
Wow.
maybe not foreigner-like. but-
Yeah. I must have been, well, I wouldn't say where I was, but I was somewhere. Yeah. I was at a Halford concert. Yeah, I did both of those. But because we did an interview with Rob in a small little dive, it was like, oh my God. But the things that transitioned that time period, because you think about it, you're singing Dio now, and this whole thing kind of come a full circle. Is there a feeling that, like I said, that you have when you go on stage and you're singing Dio's music? I know you love Dio, and is it hard? Are you doing your own stuff, or is it you're trying to be sounding more like Dio? What is it like?
Trying to get through the songs. I mean, Ronnie's pretty
It's a very amazing voice.
different, no, I just sing the songs. I don't sing them in a different. I sing them in my own voice, which fits very well with Ronnie. I mean, that's the difference.
Right.
Is there's similarities there. But yeah, I just want to sing the songs good and with passion, and I do it every night. It's crazy. Like I said, I tour 75-80% of the time all year, doing solo tours around the world, singing my own music. So it's not like I never do that. Then when I come to do this, I enjoy it I enjoy it, and I try my hardest because I know if I screw up, I always think, hey, he's up there, he's saying something, he's laughing or pissed. He's probably more pissed at me saying, don't mess that up again.
Yeah.
Don't listen, do it right, And I do. I even think of that. I'm trying. It's really weird, but I'm trying hard to make him proud still.
Like he does, there are similarities, and I think that's why Ronnie picked him as a protege. But at the same time, he does him his own way. And like he said, he's not trying to. No one's trying to replace Ronnie. He's not trying to do it. It's just out of his love for him. But he does happen to have an amazing voice, Mr. Tim Ripper Owens over here.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of times when I'm standing on stage and I'm going, man, this is cool, And they were friends. I mean, when we were recording Magica, when Tim was in town, Ronnie would just stop the recording and invite Tim down to the studio, and they'd sit and visit for like an hour or two, and the whole album recording was shut down.
Wow.
So Ronnie and Tim could visit, or we'd go out to dinner or something like that.
Yeah.
They were friends. It was and so when he sings this, I can tell sometimes too, where it's coming. I can hear his heart. It's
Straight
not a
through the
gig.
heart. Straight through the heart.
Yeah.
It's not a gig. This is a purpose.
Yeah. Well, you talk about you're doing some solo gig stuff, and I know that you have done a project just recently I saw with Jafria, well, not Jafria, but the actual original singer from Jafria. Is it David Isley? And I listened to it, and David, it's a great album, but David's voice sounds a little different compared to his older stuff. Is that me, or I mean, it's a great album. I just didn't recognize his voice as it was before.
Well, quite honestly, he was out of the music scene for so long. There was a promoter that wanted me to do a Past, Present, and Future concert in San Diego, and so I was thinking, I was asking the impossible. I wanted to get Dave to be part of that concert.
Right.
And so it took a lot of time for me to encourage him to get on stage because he felt the same way. But unfortunately, what he did on that album as a co-producer is what many singers do, is when they're waiting for all the mixing and all the special overdubs and stuff, they tend to listen to it, and they tend to overthink, and so they start. He would drop in the studio with his vocal fixes.
Right.
And a lot of the real raw, amazing. There was times when we first started, where I went on Facebook and I was telling people, guys, you're gonna just love this because he's really got it. There's a lot of really raw, cool stuff that he sounded just like he did on the first You're Free record that are gone.
Huh.
Because he fixed it till it was broke, almost like Michael Jackson's face. He fixed it till it was broke.
Wow.
And that's but as a co-producer, that was his right to do. So you're right. There is a difference. There's still some really magical moments, and I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, it's great.
He's one of the best singers, and he can be brilliant with lyrics and melody lines, but not when he's in charge. And he's one of those guys that shouldn't be in charge, because when he's in charge, he starts doing things like that.
Right.
I love the guy, but that if you asked a question and I'm giving you an honest answer,
That's all I'm saying.
but I am
didn't
proud of
recognize
him.
it.
I am proud of him because
Well, I sound different from that back then too. So
Where are you from, by the way? Are you Ohio?
Akron, Ohio, yeah. Still there.
Okay, yeah, I love the accent. Well, the last question, there's obviously a lot. You talk about Blabbermouth, and we talk about all this riff going on, and Vivian Campbell, and those guys shouldn't be doing this. It's not really their thing. I don't really get that myself, to be honest. And Vivian Campbell, to be honest, didn't have the best going out with Dio in his days once he left the band or got kicked out of the band, really. What do you think about that? What's your feeling about Vivian's statements about, they shouldn't be doing that?
Well, I was there from the very beginning. I've known Ronnie since 1983. And him and I were friends and were very close. I was very close with Ronnie and Wendy since 1983. And I saw everything. When he left Sabbath to form his own band, they were starting over. He was an opening act again. And there are a lot of times when something needed to be done and no one was there to do it, so Ronnie and Wendy would do it. When the truck would show up at rehearsal and the crew wasn't there, Ronnie would start schlepping gear. Nobody else lifted a finger. There's a lot of things. I'm not going to name names, but that's when I say that their heart was the same as Ronnie's heart, because they're trying to say that he made a promise and went back on his promise, but it was only being deferred because they're not telling the whole story. Right. Because they did get raises. They had homes. Ronnie basically bought 5 homes. They all had houses. They all had nice cars. They all had a nice income. They got raises.
We're talking about Vivian Campbell.
I'm talking, and if you want something, you don't make ultimatums. You don't claim I'm calling you on like you broke a promise. Make ultimatums and refuse to go on stage at the last minute. That's not how you get things done. Ronnie and Wendy, you know him. He's got the biggest heart. If you feel that something's wrong or something needs to change, you talk to them, and then they do it. And that's part of the story that's not been told, is that he wasn't breaking any promises. They were just suddenly onto something, because Ronnie was giving back to the fans and he was spending a lot of money. And that Sacred Heart tour was spent, a lot of money was being spent. They were growing in a different direction. So there was no promise being withheld or broken. It's just things were changing. And the heart was the fans. And the other people's hearts was the money. And that was the problem. When I joined Dream Evil album, certain band members will remain nameless. They actually came to me asking me to give my money to them.
You're kidding. Really?
And Ronnie and Wendy said, hey, you do whatever you want to do, but you'd be a fool to give them a dime. You worked your ass off on this album. Wow. There's plenty of times when we were in rehearsal and they just sat there and did nothing. I'm not saying they didn't contribute. I love those guys. I do. Vivian Campbell is a gentleman to me. I love working with Vinny Appice. I love those guys. It's a family. And so it's like sometimes when someone passes away, all of a sudden the family members start feuding. So there's this feud for no reason. And that feud between Ronnie and Vivian, just look at the heart. Look at the heart. What Ronnie created and what Vivian created since then. What has Vivian created since then? Because I love those first 3 albums. I love
They're amazing.
solos, and I don't just do my own thing and just step all over it, but get over yourselves, and just let the past be the past. That was the past. But for some reason, some people just can't let go of a grudge. But I know everything. I saw it when they did so many things that were beneath them, and because something needed to be done and no one else was doing it, so they did it. So when they did get a great crew, and Dio did become what it became, those who sat around and did nothing were the first to put their hands out. The only hand they put out before was to form a grasp around their drink. Now suddenly their hands are out for more. I'm sorry, but that if you're going to tell the story, tell the whole story. I saw it all. Because I was their friend. They let me on tour with them on the tour bus, in the studio, during the record company meetings, and I saw it all. Tell the whole story, not just the half of the story.
Well, I remember the story that Ronnie told me was Vivian was not coming to the table with much. He wasn't putting much effort into things. He didn't seem to that enthused unless he was making more money or maybe a bigger pile of the money, whatever it was. And that's what Ronnie told me. And I said, well, that's just, like I said, you get paid for your rewards of what you contribute. That's the way the world is. If you sit on your butt, you don't get anything. You could be on welfare or whatever, but I mean, if you contribute, you get. So I don't want to.
And I don't want people to think that I hate Vivian or hating that. I love Vinny Appice. Him and I are very close friends. He's a dear friend. I love working with him. I love Vivian. I love all those guys. But just tell the whole story. I mean, the truth is always going to be there, and then there's opinion.
Right.
If somebody is sitting at an intersection and the light turns green and they don't wait that second before they enter the intersection and somebody runs a red light, boom. Okay, well, that person's fault who ran the red light. Yeah, one thing occurred, but all the people that are on the four corners who witnessed it are going to have totally different perceptions of one thing. And so all these people have different perceptions of one thing. Only one thing occurred, but there are several different perceptions of what that is. And that's what we have today. Is we have a perception of the truth, and the perception of the truth does not change the truth.
Right.
I know the truth.
You guys.
There you have it.
And that's the short answer. No. You guys are amazing for sitting down and talking about this and really just opening up and just kind of talking about Ronnie's life and about what's going on right now, which I think is very important because it's like you guys are carrying the torch. Like I said, that's my feeling. And I would much rather be sitting in this room, go and watch a show tonight than sitting in my living room watching a DVD of something that happened years ago. I could do that too, but this is real life. This is moving bodies and people and talking and things happening. That's what life's about. It's not about sitting in your closet, watching your computer all day. So I mean, you could do that too, I guess.
This sound man, I hope it continues because sometimes things change after sound check. But it's pumping, and there's a different thing. There's a whole different experience when you're in the room with a bunch of other people who feel the same way as you do, and that PA is pumping, and this guy's singing the way he's singing, and this band is playing the way they're playing, and it's Ronnie's band with Ronnie's protege, and the pumping music. It's an experience, like you're saying. It's a real life experience. It's not anything that can ever be captured on a crappy little cell phone on a YouTube video.
I agree. You guys are great. Thanks for spending your time, and hey, enjoy the rest of your night. I can't wait to see you guys on stage.